Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the CIL, the Collegiate iRacing League. Here, and tonight we head to Charlotte under the lights for the one time here this season that we will be under the lights. And next week, or 2 weeks' time, we head to Phoenix. But tonight it heads to the Tri-Oval at Charlotte, your CIL InnoVetted Labs Premier Series. Joining me up in the booth is Josh Crane. And Josh, it's set to be a good one tonight.
Yeah, it sure is. Who doesn't love being in Charlotte and being at NASCAR's home track and a couple home track for a couple of these drivers as well and teams as we get ready for another one a little bit longer, 120 laps at the mile and a half oval, and a little bit of excitement last night with the geometry of this track and the layout, especially the tri-oval up front, as these drivers are going to have to negotiate that. And 30 other cars, 31 total cars tonight, and 120 laps. So it's going to be a little bit technical. And Jarrett, I'm thinking that 3 tire sets is going to be stretched. I think we're going to see some cars that stay out. So we'll get to strategy in a minute, but you can see there 66 degrees Fahrenheit. That air is going to be dense in those engines. They're going to be able to make a lot of power here tonight, and then they'll have plenty of grip for those Goodyear tires. As again, the track is cool, the air is cool. Does the dense air make a little bit more downforce on these car bodies? We'll find out too. So yeah, that'll be fun for the viewers, and it might even be fun for the drivers. We will see here. So qualifying time starting to roll in now. Still 8 minutes left and 10 minutes of qualifying. So not everybody going to be on track right now. As you can see, the Virginia Cavaliers, Thomas Toomey, making his second appearance actually in the eNASCAR Collegiate Series, most recently also at Charlotte, and then here again back at Charlotte, this time with CIL and trying to take it home in the student group. And so he'll be coming back out, and yeah, not tracking all the way out to the wall. And we know Thomas has been, Jarrett, putting in a little bit of time as far as the expertise in the eNASCAR group, and I think that he's going to have, and some of these drivers will have a little bit of advantage just from the sheer amount of laps that they have done as he brings it back to pit road. I want to make sure you don't overshoot your box or the entry, but some of these drivers have so many laps here that might play into an advantage for them as well.
Yeah, and you said it. There's a strategy tonight, and there's also that race crap. You see Nordberg tracking all the way up to the wall, and these guys, Charlotte, one of the kind of premier tracks to the NASCAR circuit. You mentioned the hometown to more than a few guys, and one of those guys, Jared Kaler in the UNC Charlotte machine, a good looking hometown scheme for him here tonight, trying to come away with a win in front of his home fans. But you mentioned it, guys familiar with the track, and I want to go back to your comment. 3 sets of tires. So we're thinking 120 laps, divide that by 3. You can change your tires about every 40 laps or so. It'll be interesting to see if guys do that, how the cautions play out, and when you save that last tire set. Because we saw in practice, the tires do make a difference, a dramatic speed difference, as we saw Jared Kaler get passed by a couple of guys later in his tire run. So they will be a big factor tonight. How big they'll be, we'll have to wait and see. That'll all depend on all these yellow flags, Josh.
Yeah, and we find that Charlotte maybe not know too much for tire wear, but anytime we come to any one of these about mile and a half intermediate tri-ovals, we do learn that about 20 and 40 laps into the runs, these tires start to fall off. Even as early as 10 laps into the run. So we'll see drivers that are fast after restarts and after fresh tires, and then we'll see drivers who are really saving their tires. And should we get some longer runs, and I expect that we will tonight, then we will see those drivers be able to prevail on those longer runs. But by the way, Jarrett, we can cut our tire sets up into 3, but I might keep one in my back pocket just so that we have one in for a green white checkered. So if I'm the crew chief, those are my thoughts. But yeah, gotta save that. And I do think probably a couple cautions tonight. We have a full field. And I would expect then a green white checker. We know everybody gets more excited when we are at the closing stages, so I probably would save one of those for a green white checker.
Yeah, no doubt about that. One attempt at a green white checker here in the CIL Premier Series as you're riding along with Tyler Stone coming across the line for St. Clair College. St. Clair College has a couple of drivers who we've seen frequent the front of the field: Tyler Stone, Athena Leclerc, and Dan Banner, who will not be joining us tonight. But shout out to Dan if we see him again. He might be helping out two of those drivers here tonight as he's moved on to the collegiate, or excuse me, the Coke Series. I'm sorry about that. But a lot of talent on track here tonight, and you said it, Josh, a full field. So it's going to be interesting to see how guys work around each other. Everyone has been in the CIL for at least some point here this season, be it the Premier Series, the Prospect Series, or otherwise. So everyone's raced around each other, but Charlotte, a more narrow track than some we will attend. And we'll see if guys send it three wide. And the trial, a tricky part of the track, Josh, and take us through why the trial is so difficult here at Charlotte.
Well, as you can see, a lot of these cars going through the tri-oval, that car is going to naturally want to turn that, three straights and two kinks, or however you want to view it. You as the driver want to turn that into an arc. You can think about Las Vegas or Kansas that have those traits for the track itself. So that's what you want to do. And then as you go two and sometimes three wide, especially on restarts, negotiating that becomes tricky because the line, we see four lanes painted as you see there on your front stretch, but the racing line is going to be through two or maybe three of those. So when you start getting wide with cars next to you or on either side, then drivers are going to have to pay attention to what lines they do. They might have to sacrifice speed or their favorite line, maybe even going into turn one or coming out of turn four. That's going to be something that these drivers have to work with. That's something that we saw down at the end of the prospect race last night, even in the midsection too. Not racing for the win at that point, but just trying to make sure that they are in position. So it can be a little bit tricky to get through there. And by the way, it's going to be even more tricky as these tires start to wear, fuel starts to burn off, and the exit of turn four becomes very loose going on to the beginning of that trial. So I think that back to our first point, I think the viewers are going to have the best seat in the house for this event tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're tuning on in on your mobile device or computer and you want to let us know who you're rooting for, make sure to do it down in the chat and we'll be sure to give them a shout out as we head here further into pre-race. 2 minutes to go before we get the green flag here at Charlotte. And Josh, let's start thinking about who we're pulling for. On the left side of your screen, you can see those qualifying times rolling on in. I believe everyone outside of Kenneth Talbot and Ryan Whitlock has qualified here, so we'll see if they can make their way up toward the front. But currently, Jeremy Milner in, topping the board for your alumni. You'll see the 3-digit numbers signify alumni on track, and 2-digit signify the students. You'll also notice different colored windshield banners as well, but that's how you can differentiate them out on the track. Sean Campbell sitting in provisional second, Thomas Toomey in third. And I think Thomas Toomey, you mentioned him a little bit earlier, Josh, might be my pick to win here. He's shown up in the Collegiate iRacing Series on the eNASCAR side, and I think he's really getting his feet under him here on the oval side of CIL.
Yeah, and I think that Thomas Toomey, certainly a good pick. I'll tell you what, it is almost too easy, a little bit on the nose as we get lined up in the grid for Jared Kaler from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte to take this one home. I'll tell you what, that's a strong pick, and I feel a little bit bad, Jarrett, picking him. So I'm going to look at Matt Nordberg, who qualified sixth, and he's going to move up to fifth after the leader, Jeremy Millerin, chooses an EOL, I guess based on some notes that he has from his prospect race last night. But I think that Matthew Nordberg, we know he's got the pace in that Wolfpack machine, and I think he can put North Carolina State up front there at the end of this one.
Yeah, good pick for sure right there. Nordberg, no stranger to the front of it. Kind of had some bad luck at times, so we'll see if that luck changes around here at Charlotte. But let's run you through your 31 car grid here tonight before we get rolling. Jeremy Milner in on provisional pole. As Josh mentioned, he will take that EOL to start the race. Sean Campbell from Randolph Community College starts in second, Thomas Toomey third, Andrew Williams rolls off fourth, Hagan Johnson rounding out your top five. Matthew Nordberg will start in sixth position here tonight, Jared Kaler in seventh, Tyler Stone from St. Clair College in eighth, Austin DeLong. Good qualifying run for Austin. He will roll off ninth, and Derek Jennings rounding out your top 10 in Grand Canyon University. Zach Lindler and Carl Lemkool make up the sixth row in 11th and 12th. And carrying on down your order, Andrew McCall, Esteban Munoz in 13th and 14th. Ryan Lucic, Tristan Yoder in 15th and 16th. Athena Leclerc, Nick Stockner, Alexander Hogarth, and Ricky Paz making up their top 20. Jeff Pete, John Dinkle will roll off 21st and 22nd. Ethan Head and Bradley Daniels in 23rd and 24th. The rest of your field, Alexander Gagnon, Cody Fadenhauer, Colin Kolpa, Matthew Warren, Grant Lemkool, Kenneth Talbot, Ryan Whitlock make up your 31 car field. Josh? So 31 cars set to take the green flag here. You see Sean Campbell going to lead us down to that green flag. Thomas Toomey is outside in a pair of Clemson cars in row number 2. Clemson, no stranger to the front of the pack, and they've really made their presence felt here late in this one. And it looks like we're going to have one more lap of pacing just to get the field formed on up here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So the pace lights do remain on that pace vehicle, and Sean Campbell and Thomas Toomey will have one more lap to warm those tires and think about where they're going to start this race. You see that restart zone line anywhere in there. The leader may fire off, and as soon as he does, that second car is liable to go as well. NASCAR Gen 6 stock cars here out on track tonight. So not the cars you currently see on NASCAR. We're rocking the old Gen 6 cars for the rest of this 7-race season. Race 6 out of 7 here tonight, and it is going to be a doozy. Lots of points on the line, and we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah, and I'm going to call out the Alabama at Huntsville drivers at the end of this one. You saw them on the grid, but they have consistently been starting at the back and then gaining the most spots officially in each of these races. And so that's one for these guys that they are paying attention to, and I'm going to pay attention to for the duration of this run. And so a little bit of a swap on front, and we'll have to follow up on that. So getting ready to go green, you can see the 66 car going to be on the inside. And Jarrett, you can do that, no problem there. You just want to make sure that whoever the leader is gets to the front, and then you have the second car who's timing it well but doesn't cross the finish line first. You have to let the leader cross the finish line. So Jarrett, we're coming to the green flag. Let us know what you see here.
It's the green flag in the hands of the flagman, brought to you by InnoVetted Labs. 66 going to fire off. Look at the 7 of Hagan Johnson all over his back bumper trying to get a good push going, and I imagine we're going to see 2x2 racing. Green flag in the air, and we are underway here at Charlotte. Great jump for the top 2. That's Thomas Toomey, Hagan Johnson, as the field roars toward turn number 1. Josh?
Down into turn 1, 2x2, everybody making it so far. You can see the front is going to do their best to get singled out, and that's probably what we said, managing tires, managing the race. There's 120 laps in this run. Can Jared Kaler get a quick position there? Austin DeLong is trying to figure out the same thing on the 14 of Tyler Stone. 58 looking back underneath Sean Campbell. Sean Campbell maybe not getting as much heat as he wanted in those tires. 30 car on the outside, and maybe not where he wants to be. I take it back. The 30 car of Sean Campbell does love to be on the outside in each of those races and events. But yeah, right there you can see almost 3 wide, everybody back settled out. But I'll tell you who's making a run, Hagan Johnson on the outside of Thomas Toomey. Room given, everybody shares their lane, and that's going to be enough momentum for that 7 car. He's going to take those new tires, and he's going to see if he can get a drive off this corner. And Jarrett might have an early new leader. That's going to be the Clemson University's Hagan Johnson to the point as Thomas Toomey tries to battle back, but it's going to be the 7 at the line.
7 just barely gets him in the line, and we're seeing a good example. Is the top going to work? Is the bottom going to work? But I tell you what is going to work. That's teamwork. Andrew Williams, Hagen Johnson, both Clemson drivers, they're trying to work together. Big block by Toomey as he maybe a little bit of a dummy move there on the 23. He'll go all the way down, try and get a little bit of side draft, slow that 23 car down coming off the corner. And it looks like he might do that successfully as he pulls alongside of that Clemson machine and will sneak on by with the help of Sean Campbell back behind. Hagen Johnson out to the lead, and he's got room to run. Back behind, Jared Kaler in a hornet's nest. He's got Carl Lemkool to his inside. Up on the top side, that's Tyler Stone as they go 3 wide down the back straightaway.
Yeah, 3 wide, and that is Carl Lemkool, St. Louis University on the inside. I want to get out of there if I'm the 58, but Jarrett, they're 2 wide behind him. You can't lift, you can't really go forward as Lemkool gets to the inside. Trouble, and it looks like they are wrecking behind, and actually the 22 car, that is Penn College of Technology, is back in the try over there, and he will try and get that car turned around, but yeah, it all started when the 09.5 of St. Louis University was in the middle there. And Jarrett, we talked about the traffic. I would love to look in my crystal ball and say what could be done differently as we follow along here. Slow motion. Yeah, 95 just came off just a touch, a little bit of contact. And I might even go racing incident. That's an opinion, though. We'll see what race control says. But, Jarrett, I can't really assign fault there as there's a lot of cars on a narrow track. And you can see as we go through again, I just don't know where to put the cars.
Yeah, it's tougher than you see it, just how tight it gets. We mentioned in pre-race, Charlotte is a narrow track, especially as you get into that tri-oval, and you saw it right there. Let's take one more look at it from high up above Charlotte Motor Speedway and see if we can get a good grasp of just how tight it does get from up on our blimp camera. You're going to see the 95, just gets into the 58 there. Tough break for the 22 of Austin DeLong, who really did nothing wrong, and he just gets caught in that wreck and caught in the wall due to some interesting physics on that tri-oval wall. But our first caution of the night, lap 6 out of 120.
I was going to say, I'm not sure that momentum was conserved on that encounter, but that is not for us to decide. But yeah, certainly, I think we saw the 095 get a bit low there, Jarrett, and we saw him right on the onboard. I think we saw him just clip the apron a little bit, and we know that can push it back up, especially as that banking just starts to fall away on the exit of turn 4, and really tough to get that back once it kicks you up. And like we said, didn't have probably 12 inches to keep that car going. And then, once the contact was started and he had so much yaw in the car, there's so much rotation in the car that he was turning, that car kept turning left. And from there, it was just a game of trying to save it. So that was that incident. And I think that, Jared, we've confirmed it's a little bit early to be taking tires and using up that first set. I'll tell you what, I wonder if we see any right side tires with the tire sets this evening. We don't normally see it. I don't know that we would expect it anymore tonight, but I do know that at some of these tracks with the cooler temperatures, we might be able to get a little bit more life out of these tires, and maybe that's something we see at a green-white checkered, something to keep in the back of our minds.
Yeah, I think you said it, conserving tires number 1, but number 2, maybe thinking about track position a little more than tire wear. And I think we saw it right there. 31 car field, and that mid pack is where you don't want to be. You either want to be in the front or the back. It's kind of this super speedway strategy almost in these Gen 6 NASCAR stock cars. And I think that might play into some guys' minds here tonight, that I'm up at the front. Do I want to take tires? Sure, absolutely. Fresh Goodyear Eagles are never a bad thing. But I want to stay up at the front. I'm banking on another yellow. So all these things going through the driver's minds. If they have crew chiefs here with them as well, they're helping make these decisions. But a lot goes into it. It's more than just turning left for 120 laps here tonight as we continue to ride behind that Ford Mustang pace car here tonight. You see Matthew Warren. Looks like a little damage on that car as he heads out of pit lane. They do get one fast repair here tonight, so the drivers can come down pit lane, and the car is returned to its original racing state for one time over the course of the night.
Yeah, and these drivers are going to have to make some business decisions. At what point is it too early, and when is the right time to use that fast repair? I'll tell you what, I got to shout out my pick of the Wolfpack machine, Matthew Nordberg avoided the 095 car on that incident by about 3 inches, and did a good piece of quick decision making to see not only which way that car was going, but which way it was going to go, and pulling out a little bit of experience. And you can tell he's no stranger to ovals, and car control is Matt Nordberg in that 76. So good to watch for. Did lose some positions in the 11 car, but has a clean car and still has a faster pair in his pocket. So it's the learning things here in CIL, especially on the oval side.
So let's take one look at what Josh is talking about here. You can see the 3 wide up in front. Pay attention to that NC State, that red, black, and white machine. There he goes down to the bottom, through the grass, or I believe that is turf now. Just hang on for dear life. Josh said, lose a couple positions, but live to fight another day. So Matthew Newberg currently sitting 11th in your field. You see him, he's going to be on inside as well. And tell you what, Josh, on that first restart, couldn't really tell a difference between the top side and the bottom side. So maybe it's more of a comfort rather than a faster line. But cool to see multiple grooves working here early.
Yeah, that's correct. I think that that's one thing that this package and the intermediates play well together, is that these guys are able to run both lanes. These drivers are pretty competitive. Gonna have to see if that bottom side just chews up those tires a little bit quicker, especially to be competitive there. But nonetheless, I think that it'll be a good opportunity for learning here in these first maybe third of the race or so, 30, 40 laps, where these drivers are taking notes and seeing what it's like to race around. As you see Athena Leclerc there getting ready from the St. Clair College. And Jared, looks like we are coming around to the green flag again. Take 2. Thomas Toomey still on the outside.
Yeah, so Thomas Toomey up on the top side, Hagen Johnson on the low side. The Clemson machines locked on up right there. We're going to see that over the course of the night, how those two teammates can work together. Pace car takes that hard left. Sean Campbell all the way up towards that outside retaining wall. Green flag in the air. And the 7 and the 23 with a great jump. You had to know that was coming. And the 30 dives down to the bottom. Thomas Toomey hung out to dry on the top side, but looks like the Clemson cars think about heading to the top. They go to the bottom. Toomey slides in line, but here comes Jared Kaler.
Jared Kaler back around the top side, a little bit of side drafting, but probably a little bit far off to make that big. But you can see Toomey, he's second time he's come down and tried to block that inside line. He knows he wants his way into the corner, but he just comes back down enough to say that he's not a fan of that move, then goes back up to set himself up for the corner. So you can see the experience and the racecraft, not just hot lapping and practice laps, but the race pace coming in there for the Virginia Cavaliers. You can see Esteban Munoz there for Florida International University, trying to hang out with Sean Campbell from Randolph behind, and right now looking underneath the Clemson machine right now and seeing if he can get underneath the St. Clair College machine as these drivers go forward. And riding on board now with Grand Canyon University's Derek Jennings, another driver, no stranger to CIL, eNASCAR. As you can see, almost 3 wide there, and Ryan Lusich from the University of North Texas backing out of that one, Jarrett. I think that was a safety decision as well.
Yeah, safety decision, business decision for sure. You can feel the intensity on your screen right now as drivers maybe grip the steering wheels just a little bit tighter as they head through turns 3 and 4. Back up at the front, Andrew Williams, Thomas Toomey going to go side by side. And I tell you what, Josh, lap 13 out of 120. Thinking about just falling in line and saving a little bit of Goodyear Eagle on my car.
I think so. You would want, especially probably the first set of tires, you really want to stretch out. I'll tell you, going back to, I do think that the 137 and Zach, I believe there, would probably owe a nice fruit basket to the 12 again for keeping everybody going in the same direction. But I think you're right that tires are something that I would conserve right here. I'd really like to be on that top side. I'd really like to be rolling through the center. I don't need to go super deep in the corner right now, especially as we get into this run. These drivers find a rhythm, and then everybody can be a little bit smoother and be a little bit more patient. That's going to be key, and it is very similar to everybody at the start of the race trying to get positions. Eventually, just like an old good Western, they look at each other and they slowly put their guns down and decide that they have 120 laps to go forward on. So as you can see right there, Clemson not doing what we're saying and going ahead, and looks like they're trying to be too wide up at the front. Are they having Hagen Johnson is right there, and he's going to open the door for Thomas Toomey. You can see the lap car. I believe that is the 48. That is looking like a Valparaiso paint scheme, and so yeah, through the front there, Thomas Toomey trying to get in and down inside.
Toomey continuing to ride that bottom groove. Johnson kind of switching. He goes top in 1 and 2, bottom in 3 and 4, and Toomey looks like he might gain the position here. If he can clear that Clemson car, he can slide on in, but just can't do it. Andrew Williams able to roll just enough speed, but right behind Esteban Munoz pushing Jared Kaler. They want to sniff at the front. Esteban looking very quick in that FIU paint scheme. We've seen Esteban no stranger to the front of the pack, and definitely one of our daring drivers. If he sees the space, he will go for it. Yellow flag is out. Looks like back of the pack, Cody Fadenhauer in a little bit of peril here into the outside retaining wall. And we'll have to get a replay on what just happened to the 757 machine.
Yeah, probably trying to find that four-wheel drive right now as he comes up off the banking. Looks like we join in progress as he tries to go through. Oh, and maybe a little bit of tow knocked out of that car as looks like his troubles began just right. Yeah, Jared, I think maybe a tire down or something like that. But looks like this one started a little bit earlier, probably coming off the corner. I don't know if a car got loose or if there was physical contact coming off the corner, but it looked like our second case of being a little bit hard to catch. You can see this is Grant Lemcool. Mentioned his brother a little bit earlier, still St. Louis University, teammates for that school. And you can see Penn College of Technology as they come through the tri-oval. So they're going to be setting up for this corner. And you can see the 22 a little bit slower in, but gets a pretty fair drive off. 13, really great drive off. And where does Grant go? Looks like he tries to keep his line. Not sure which one. Maybe it was a different lap that we saw. As you can see the 48 on the bottom. That is Matthew Warren right there. But those drivers trying to come around. In fact, yeah, right there, a little bit of a movement from the 22 car, and then Grant deciding that he's going to stay up top there. So going to come back around into turn one again, and you can see this time getting pretty fanned out and pretty good run. Second time that the 13 car has had a good run on the outside. Comes down a little bit. Yeah, pretty tight there. I would say 22 probably got a very late spotter call and came up a little bit. And then I did see that St. Louis University coming off the corner. That's a pretty tough one, Jarrett, but you do want to remember that, especially at this point in the race, giving space is going to be key for these drivers and these teams here. So probably the notes that we saw on that one.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. That old Western, putting your guns away, knowing there's a car probably on the top side and giving one position at this point in the race, not the worst thing to do. As you see, first lucky dog, that's the 169. Jeremy Miller getting his laps on back here. So we'll see if he's able to overcome those issues. He heads around the pace car, getting one lap back. That'll put him only one lap down in 28th, if I'm not mistaken. But you see, throughout the field, plenty of college paint schemes. And one I want to shout out is the Indiana paint scheme of Colin Kolpa. Kind of stuck at the back of the pack for the time being, but that 06 Indiana machine looking very good with that hardwood. IU men's basketball on that quarter panel as well. So really good looking paint schemes all over the track here tonight, but definitely one of my favorites is Colin Kolpa here tonight. Josh?
Yeah, no doubt that that's a pretty solid one. Another one I like is Hagen Johnson here. No stranger to the Clemson lineup. But let's talk about this leader for a minute, guys. Hagen is a third-generation Clemson student. That means his one of either his father or mother, another, grandma or grandpa would have also gone to Clemson University, and so it's in his blood. Another eNASCAR driver made his appearance in the race here at Charlotte pretty recently. So. Pursuing a career in the medical field and getting ready to serve in that way. So it does continue on after CIL and, probably pre-med studying biology right now at Clemson. And I'll tell you what, Jarrett, he is ready to go and ready to put that Tiger machine up front and you would have family support as well.
That is what's so cool here about the CILs. We have number one, students and alumni, but just so many different stories here tonight. Everyone working together to come up with what's the best setup, what's the best strategy for a race night. A lot of guys working together to really make it all go round. And tell you who's making it go round: the University of Clemson right now, as they occupy spots 1 and 2 here as we get set back to go. We're going to cross the line on lap 21 out of 120 laps here tonight at Charlotte. Field in the hands of Hagen Johnson. He will go. The 23 trying to scoot down to the bottom. Instead, Hagen Johnson goes up to the top, picks up his teammate, and off we go for another time side by side through the rest of the field. Josh?
Yeah, and pretty good move by the 66 of Thomas Toomey. He'll be looking to split up those teammates, and we'll see if he can do so. Actually, in the wall there, pretty tight for everybody. It looks like 23 will be slow, maybe a little bit of cosmetic damage, can't tell yet. Looks like the 58 will also go through, and we know Esteban Munoz is going to try to fit through. Looks like 30 as well. That's Randolph College. Now underneath the 9, so he compromised himself a little bit. FIU Esports, Panther Esports, is going to have to concede that position. So Randolph is going to land their way up front, running 5th position right now. And I'll tell you what, Jarrett, battle between the Virginia Cavaliers and the UNC Charlotte Miners as they try and run forward. They have succeeded now in splitting up that Clemson duo, and it's going to be sights set for the leader now. But I'll tell you what, I didn't have the bottom lane on my bingo card so much, but these drivers are making it work.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that affects the tires later in the run. We see Hagen running that top and middle line over and over, and we see how good of a run off you're able to get in that middle and top group. But you said it, the bottom looks very quick here, and we'll see what they choose in turns 3 and 4. And yeah, down to the bottom goes the 7. So interesting to see Hagen Johnson mix up his lines with Thomas Toomey. A great run off. Hagen Johnson might have got the wall for a moment there, and we're going to have a battle for the lead.
Battle for the lead and momentum on the high side, prevailing so far. Down into the corner, 7 hot. The 7 car deep into the corner. No caution because the 66 saves it. Well, I say that, more trouble behind, so we will have plenty of yellow flags to go around. However, that was a really deep dive, I think, from the 7. He really tried to hang on to it and keep the position. He knew that it was very important to keep that position, but a small one turns into a big one there for Clemson University and for Virginia. Guys, the 66 will have his fast repair. He'll get his car back, but I don't think he'll be able to get that spot back, and that is not what the Cavaliers wanted to see this evening.
No, not at all. And you said it was a small one, and it turned very large very quickly, as we'll take another look at it here from Tyler Stone, the number 14 machine, right in that mid-pack. We mentioned it. It gets up into the 66, and then a chain reaction as the 14 goes airborne. We'll get you another look at Thomas Toomey's angle here in a moment. Thomas Toomey, kind of the worst off out of everyone here. So let's take a look from high up above. 7 just kind of runs out of room in the 66. Just unfortunate, but you see the 12 there involves the 22. It looks like the 169, the 09, the 12. Tyler Stone, Ryan Lusich, Alexander Hogarth, Kenneth Talbot, Jeremy Milneran, all involved. And Josh, you said it a little bit earlier. You got to know when to use your fast repair. I think Thomas Toomey had to use it there. Hopefully some other guys saved it for a little for something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he had a choice in that instance, and I'll tell you, it's we did get confirmation. Race control giving that end of line assertion to the 7 machine. I think probably fairly done. Is we're going to ride on board with Tyler Stone. What was it like? It's so hard, and probably had a face full of that Clemson machine up front, and they came off the corner, much to the surprise of the 66. And Jarrett, that's the other one. It's so hard to look through the front of these cars, and then absolutely went for a ride. Tyler Stone did, and St. Clair College. But it's crucial and equally difficult to look through the front of these cars and look down the field and down the track to see what obstacles are are forthcoming. But yeah, riding on board right now with Ethan Head, University of Tennessee and UTK Esports, following on board here. As you can see, approaching the trouble, and yeah, just got through to the right side. Maybe a little bit of issue. Actually, maybe missing the brake pedal there for that second set of cars, but choosing to go through that hole, and did a good job there of making it through. But yeah, it was not very easy at all. Riding on board now with the University of Alabama at Huntsville. And boy, he's got a hornet's nest and a gaggle in front of him. Coming off, you can see the machine there and right across through to me. And yeah, made contact with the 66 first and then the inside car there. That was the 12 machine from the University of North Texas. But Jarrett, we said it. It is tricky as we have these cars that are in. Actually, it looks like the 5 machine. I want to say that was Nick Stockner, Clemson University. A little bit of trouble going in there. Yeah, certainly not what a lot of those drivers wanted to see, but a little one became a big one in that instance.
Yeah, and that's going to shake up the front of the pack, really the middle of the pack. But I tell you, I hesitate to say this because I've been known to curse her, but Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College able to avoid both of the first wrecks and has quietly been making her way up to the front of the pack for St. Clair College. Good looking paint scheme as well. But she, again, another collegiate iRacing series driver here who's also racing in the CIL. Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College, a good run. And again, has had kind of that string of bad luck. Very good on the oval side, has also joined us on the road side as well. And I'll be curious to see how she makes use of this track position here. Gained 11 positions from the start of the race, so a good little start for Athena.
Yeah, welding techniques major at St. Clair College. And actually graduating in the spring of 22. That is coming up. But been on iRacing just for 1 year, Jarrett, which tells me that, and we will be surprised at this, that St. Clair College has quite a stout knowledge base and iRacing and sim racing outfit there at that university. We've seen them in chat, we've seen them on track, and always competitors in any CIL and iRacing event, St. Clair College, and more than once, Athena Leclerc leading that charge for that group. And so I think that's an absolutely appropriate shot there. And you can see your new leader, the 58 machine, feeling good at home. UNC Charlotte going to lead Randolph College. And then we do have 2 Clemson machines behind. That's the 23 of Andrew Williams and then 137 of Zach Lindler. Who we have been discussing earlier. And so these drivers getting ready to rumble once again. Lights are off in the pace car. They still got half a lap to think about it. I'll tell you what, John Dinkle and Rose-Hulman University back there in the 62 machine, back there about row 4 or 5, depending on how I count, and being able to be up there. But I'll tell you what, that driver racing his way in from the Prospect Series, doing a really good job, and keeping it up front this evening, Jarrett, and keeping it out of trouble. That seems to be the theme.
Yeah, keep it out of trouble, keep it clean, and good things do tend to happen. We'll see what things happen as we head into another restart. Ford pace car going to take that left-hand turn to pit lane and leaves the hands in the field of the Chevrolet Camaro of Jared Kaler, who chooses the bottom side. You see those 2 Clemson cars itching to go back at it. Green flag in the air, and it is waving. Jared Kaler down at the start-finish line, but right behind him, Andrew Williams with a good little jump as well. Sean Campbell kind of hung out to the top side, but here comes Esteban Munoz.
Esteban Munoz still trying to find his lane right there as he tried to follow the 23 through, but didn't have quite the ability to do it. 137 of Lindler up close to that wall, and it looks like Grand Canyon University, that's Derek Jennings, going to try and make that bottom side work. We've seen it done. 30 laps now on a lot of these tires, Jarrett. Something to keep in mind, that bottom may not be as effective on worn tires, but we will find out here. Looking back at Jared Kaler, absolute hornet's nest behind him. He'll want to keep the gaggle back there. Sean Campbell putting those left sides right down on that blue line and coming off. He'll have a little bit of a run, closing the gap just a touch, but back down into turn 3. You can see, going to have a little bit of draft now, and pretty consistent. And that's what we have come to see from Randolph, is that they have the ability to put that car where they want it, no matter the setup or day. Very talented in that regard. And back up front, it is still the Miners from UNC Charlotte. As you can see, the rush of cars running by right there.
Yeah, I tell you what else I saw, Josh, was that mid to backpack starting to single filing out. Guys have said, hey, let's play nice. Some of us have used our faster pair. Let's just kind of fall on in. I think Leclerc tracks up the track a little bit. Big block on the 62. That's the 61 on the 62. But this group, kind of third through sixth or seventh, still mixing it on up 2x2. And up at the front, Sean Campbell has caught the back bumper of Jared Kaler.
He has, you can see up front in your screen there as you ride on board with Clemson right now. In fact, just trying to find a place to live. Andrew Williams for Clemson, just trying to find a spot in line. Looking now underneath Athena Leclerc, but on those tires, I think he should be more worried. As you can see right there, coming around the outside with momentum, that's the 62, now full of draft, and actually might have to lift right there. Athena Leclerc trying to get around the 137. Can't quite go low with that Clemson car beneath, and it's now going to be 3 wide. John Dinkle says, I'm trying to make the moves through. He's decided it's time to go. 3 wide, everybody makes it so far. They'll go back to 2 wide side by side. I'll tell you who's at the front of that group, though, is Matthew Nordberg. Loving this, keeping those tires on the car a little bit low, just running that low line around Charlotte Motor Speedway. But no surprise that driver is up there. And on lap 34 of 120, Jared, I think he is just in a fine spot trying to keep that car moving forward.
Yeah, he's into that clean air. We know it's easy to catch somebody, but a whole nother beast to pass someone, especially in these Gen 6 NASCAR stock cars. And that draft is ever powerful, but 76 in a good spot now, right behind. You see the 62. You mentioned John Dingle. But here comes Colin Culpa, seemingly out of nowhere. And the 06 machine is just flying on by. Maybe fresh Goodyear Eagles on that car. We'll have to take a peek at our scoring tower. But look at the 06 just ride.
Indiana and the Hoosiers driving forward now really with ease. Big moment coming off that turn, but everybody kept it straight. I'm sure there will be some opinions had on who should have let who by. But Jarrett, we talked about the tri-oval. I'm sure we'll talk about it later again tonight. But yeah, you're right. The 06 of Colin Culpa flying forward right now and putting that hardwood machine, a little bit of March Madness, moving on down the line. He'll set his sights on Athena Leclerc in P6 as he tries to take that machine forward. So a little bit of a mix-up as he comes up with these new tires.
Yeah, Josh said it, new tires. Lap 25 was when he came down pit lane, so you're seeing about a 25 lap difference in those tires. Further on back of the field, that's Jeff Pete in that Minnesota 119 under attack from Thomas Toomey. Looks like he will concede that fairly easily, but right behind him, Bradley E. Daniels in the Robert Morris University machine tried to sneak on by, kind of just caught in a bad spot there, and he'll have to lift and give way to the Minnesota machine. Right in front, John Dinkle has been shuffled back to 10th now, and he's going to be under attack from the pair of Williams and Toomey. Josh?
Yeah, and right there you can see coming into the corner, the 66 had a great run on the 62, and maybe a little bit of a nudge right there as he tries to go by, but yeah, had to check up, and then maybe ran out of brakes as he came through, and John Dinkle coming back up to the top, trying to set himself up for that corner, and a couple times we've seen John Dinkle get high, and I wonder if maybe a little bit hot on the tires, or if he has some damage, just a little bit out of shape there, but having to chase that car. Oh, and Andrew Williams not leaving the space. All the time you have to leave the space, and Andrew Williams there in the 23, not quite, and you can see that the 62 machine now would have some damage, and you can see Andrew Williams with the apology and voice chat, but apologies won't be fixing the carbon fenders on these cars, and yeah, John Dinkle now trying to keep that fender out of air as much as he can behind Jeff Pete, but you can see already the speed difference, and Jarrett frankly looking quite tight. And I do see the steering wheel turn to the left there, but that is a facet sometimes of these oval cars, and not always doesn't always mean that your toe is knocked out. But I'll tell you what, he went into the wall and got a little bit squished, and I would not be surprised if that is not how he likes the steering wheel.
Yeah, just watching him drive, that does look like the toe is kicked out a little bit. In turns 1 and 2, you can tell the car pretty upset right now at John Dinkle. Further on up the pack, you see that North Texas machine trying to hold off a whole host of Matthew Nordberg, Esteban Munoz, Tyler Stone, and others. Here comes Hagen Johnson, kind of back from the mid pack. He's going to try and make his way up there as well, but they're 2x2. Lucic trying to pull away in that North Texas mean green machine, but here comes the 14 of Tyler Stone.
Tyler Stone trying to make it work on the inside, but does the 76 car get a run? They are neck and neck down the back stretch with a little bit of push from Hagen Johnson, Clemson University, and a little bit of ACC work trying to get those cars to the front. But St. Clair College, yeah, very strong on the low side. They'll come up, room given. Then Tyler trying to make the inside of that tri-oval work, and Hagen, you can see they're in the middle, hedging his bets, trying to follow whichever one of these cars comes out on top. But I'll tell you what, I like the 06 and I like the 7 right now. And Nathaniel Leclerc as well, up top and trying to save those tires. And it looks like, guys, up at the front, Tyler Stone is going to, at least for this lap, Tyler Stone going to maintain his position. As you can see here, Nordberg coming back, and now Hagen Johnson in the 7 car trying to do the same thing on the bottom. And Jarrett, suddenly, 40 laps on these tires is the bottom of the place to be.
I tell you what, it's looking better and better. And I tell you what, who else is looking better? It's Derek Jennings in the 15 machine. He is not pitted as well, and I think he's saved his tires because he's joined Jared Kaler and Sean Campbell. He's passed by Campbell already and looking seemingly just as quick as Jared Kaler is. So Derek Jennings having himself a good little run here as we take a look at your time delta from the past couple laps. You see it, 0.6 of a second, 0.5 of a second, now down to 1/10 of a second. So very, very quick laps for the 15 machine, already closing in on your leader. And we'll see if Sean Campbell, does he choose to help out the 15 or will he go with the 58? It's going to be hard to do on your own here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And we'll see the 15 dive to the bottom, closed off by Kaler, and he's going to track up the track a little bit. We're seeing a lot of that, guys, getting tight in that mid-corner area. You really got to protect that right front tire. And look at Ryan Lucic joining the party as well.
University of North Texas driver Ryan Lucic joining the party. He's going to try and make that high side work, and Jared with some pretty good momentum. He'll come up. He will follow. Yeah, couldn't go low. He's got the 30 car there, but his best bet is to push that Grand Canyon machine down the road, and he will do so. Can he complete the pass off this turn? Jared, I'm not sure where this pace has come from, but I would like to note that 12 making a good decision earlier. We said he backed out of a collision up at the tri-oval, but right here, now he's got a chance to make it happen. He's going to get under the 15. So Derek Jennings was just trying to get around the leader, the 58, and it looks like these cars, a little bit of a stall now. As you can see, the 30 car closed that gap back up. But made the decision to battle back later, and now up at the front of these cars in this race, just racing the game. So I think that's a good learning opportunity. And Jarrett, no surprises there. I think 12, Ryan Lucic, a pretty street smart guy, and we know that he generally has a good race IQ as far as that is concerned.
Yeah, from pit lane, Ryan Lucic came in on lap 24. Got 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles on that car, so you're looking at a 25 lap difference between those two cars. But I tell you what's most impressive, the way Sean Campbell, Derek Jennings, and Jared Kaler are able to make those old tires work. So I think we're seeing a little bit of it, that those new tires will get you up through the field, but you really have to manage how much of that rubber on those tires you end up using to make your way through the field, because that's exactly what Lucic has done, but unable to pass the likes of Campbell, Jennings, and Kaler up at the front. And see if guys continue to go all the way down to the bottom. It looks like they will for the time being, and we've seen the cars seemingly look tight, but I tell you what, they're able to run the bottom very well, these top 4.
Well, able to maneuver their car where they need to be and where they would like to be, which I think is a facet of a lot of the runners. But on that point, I think Ryan Lucic getting his tires a little bit warm, trying to race side by side for so long, and perhaps that opportunity gone away for the time being, but it will be back. St. Clair College now trying to run together and make sure that Wolfpack machine is behind them, but that's Athena Leclerc and Tyler Stone coming together, surely in voice communications. And they would be saying, to come together and that they can take this thing to the end. But I'll tell you what, Matthew Nordberg is going to try and actually a little bit of the wall there for the 14 car, Tyler Stone, and that's going to give 76 the opportunity to come up in front. Will he be clear? He will not be clear. And it looks like St. Clair College going to stay 1-2 in this battle for so long.
Leaders crossing the line, lap 51 out of 120, the top 4 single file. We head back to Toomey and Johnson, who are also single file. So guys, starting to get spread on out, starting to settle on in, starting to click some laps.
Yeah, not quite yet, but approaching halfway. So Matthew Nordberg going to try attempt number 2, getting underneath the 14 car. You can see the left side tires on that blue and white line. Jarrett, that seems to be the place to put them this evening, especially in 3 and 4. I've seen some drivers who are maybe a little bit more patient to get down to that line in 1 and 2. In fact, Nordberg right there doing that as well. But yeah, 3 and 4, you really seem to get down and defend, attack that line. That seems to be the classic case. So Matthew Nordberg, though, for all that work on the bottom, Jarrett, we know that these tires now with 52 laps on them, I think that the top side is starting to get that advantage. We wondered if we'd see it, and so far this battle is showing it. I also see Esteban Munoz making the top side work and a little bit of defense for his position 11 as we go through and back to side by side between the 12 and the 30.
Man, it just will not end between North Texas and Randolph Community College, and the 30 just edging out the 12 in turn 3. Now hold on to that through 3 and 4. You see the field really starting to spread on out, but it's funny, little tandems have seemingly broke out. And I think Derek Jennings, if you are the 15, you're pretty comfortable riding behind Jared Kaler for the time being. Just right on in. You know the 2 behind you are battling, using up their tires. Just push the 58 and run away if you can. Maybe save a little fuel. An extra lap or 2 could be huge here at Charlotte if you're able to stay out for that extra length of time. Further on back as we look through your field, Ethan trying to go to work on Alexander Hogarth. Right behind him, Nick Stockner from Clemson, that number 5 machine, trying to chase the Tennessee machine down as well.
Yeah, Nick Stockner trying to make that outside line work. Dakin on the car this week, as you can see, good-looking 5 machine trying to make his way around, and not too much business there. The 8 car falling in line back up to Minnesota. So you can see there the Purdue machine of Jeremy Millerin made his way from 2 laps back down up to P14, fighting these drivers for position. You see Esteban Munoz trying to keep the defense actually down to the line. Will he go too wide? He will go too wide. You can see that little about 18 inches into the grass. That is racing surface, not grass, not turf. That is painted asphalt for these drivers. You can see here Munoz trying to make it work, but just off the corner. And I think, Jared, at these tires, at this juncture, looks like the high side is a place to be on corner exit.
It does look that way. You're just able to carry so much speed up on the top side, and the bottom. The bottom might be tricky for a lot of guys, especially in these Gen 6 stock cars, because there's so much off throttle time, having to use the brake to get the car to turn a little bit, use that right rear instead of that right front. And in doing so, you possibly loosen the car up a little bit as well. So staying to that top side, keeping that car seemingly kind of on rails, so to speak, and a little more on throttle time might be good for those. You see it right there, the power that Millerin is able to sneak on by the 9. And I think that top side is really coming to life here late in this run. And if your guy's up at the front of the pack, I think you got to notice that and keep that in mind should we get another long green flag run. But the battle for lead continues to rage on. It's Kaler, Jennings, Lusich, and Campbell, your top 4, who seemingly can't get rid of each other. But I tell you what, Kaler has not given away the lead just yet. We've seen Campbell all over the back bumper. We keep wondering, is this planned? Does Jennings actually want the lead? Can't get it. as they head down the back straightaway, and I think he's just pretty content riding in that second spot for now, Josh.
Yeah, P2 never bad at this stage of the race. I think that maybe a facet of leading the race, Jared, is you get a healthy dose of that clean air. No lap cars up front right now. And you get there. As you can see, Derek is looking underneath. He's going to make his way. Jared Kaler making him think about it, but yeah, he'll pick that top side and right a pretty good shot as you see these drivers side by side and coming back onto the backstretch. Looks like the advantage right now will be Jared Kaler as they go back. Yep, single file down into turn 3. Just not able to do that right now, but I tell you what, you sometimes you take the air off the nose of that front car as we get a yellow flag at the halfway point, Jarrett, but was going to say that as Minnesota is around, that is Jeff Pete in the 119 who will hold his brakes as drivers go by. It can be tricky for drivers following to get all that understeer. It can be a little bit tight. Aero push as those drivers want to get set.
Yeah, and you said it. We saw a healthy dose of that. One thing to catch the car, we said it before, but a whole nother thing to pass as we look at what transpired. And I think the 23 machine must have just got into the wall or something funny. We'll have to take another look at that. But Jeff Pete, kind of minding his own business, gets turned into by that Clemson machine. So we'll look high up above and see if we can get a better indication of what happened. Yeah, the 23 up into the wall, and it just shoots that Clemson car down the track, and they both go for a ride. Two cars in trouble there, and that will do it. And Josh, we've got action on pit road.
Well, we knew it was coming. These tires are aged. You can see Thomas Toomey, Virginia, riding down. Everybody on pit lane. Too many to name, so everybody going to stay out, try and get to their box. I expected before tires here, but the key point is who's going to be in their box, who's going to get out of their box the cleanest, and will we have any changes on pit road? You can see everybody going up on the jack stands. You can see your pole sitter Millerin a little late to the box as he's been racing his way back. In fact, Millerin slides through his box just a touch. I don't see anybody else. I see the 12 on his way down. Grand Canyon University on his way. Jared Kaler out. I'll tell you who I don't see is University of Virginia just yet. There they are. And it looks like your top 4 are going to remain. Ryan Lusich in P3. And the rest of these drivers all filing off pit road. But Jared, if you thought it was a traffic jam on the big track, the traffic jam on pit road is a whole other sight to behold.
It really is, and you said it. It's a matter of getting in your box clean, getting out of your box clean, and a lot of time can be won or lost on pit lane. But Jared Kaler retains the lead. Derek Jennings in second. Ryan Lucis third. Sean Cale fourth. So your top 4 remain seemingly untouched. Thomas Toomey and Hagen Johnson fifth and sixth. Now 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles on each of these cars as we just crossed the halfway point. Lap 62 out of 120 now. And I think the danger of this is that everyone thinks they're Superman with those 4 fresh tires, Josh.
Yeah, that can be. I think that what we're going to see is going to resemble pretty strongly a race start. Scoreboard telling me that all but 5 vehicles are on the lead lap. In fact, a couple that are out. So there are 2 vehicles on track, not on the lead lap, which meant that we had the big issue on pit road. Everybody trying to get in and out, right? Lap cars would come by next time. However, there's only 2 of those. Everybody sharing the same pit lane and now sharing the same track. So that's a good point. Race control did confirm Andrew Williams will have that EOL for causing a collision. And yeah, Jarrett, sometimes you're checking your brake bias, you're checking your gauges. That steering wheel just moves a little bit to the right or left, and the wall certainly not jumping out at anybody at that point on the track. But nonetheless, Andrew Williams making his way back to the end of the line. But with a little under 60 laps to go, I think that is plenty of time to make his way back. As you see the 55 on your screen, that is University of Alabama at Huntsville, who would be, I think, Kenneth Talbot trying to get that wave around right now. And so he will be able to come around and take that wave around. Get himself back on the lead lap, Jarrett. That's going to be all cars on the track back on the lead lap.
So pretty impressive. You said it. 26 drivers on the lead lap. Andrew Williams, your final lead lap car. You see them on the left side of your screen on that scoring tower, but a couple names have shuffled back up towards the front. I want to mention Jeremy Miller in. He was originally your pole sitter, got moved to the back because of some issue that sent him back down to pit road. He's all the way back up into the top 10. Cody Fadenhauer, Nick Stockner in 11th and 12th. And those guys maybe a little excellence on pit lane. Everybody on that last cycle all took 4 tires. So everyone kind of on that same set of tires. We haven't seen any strategy just yet. Wouldn't be surprised if we do before the night is over. But our 4th caution of the night, everyone brings it down pit lane, gets those 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles, and gets on out in pretty much the same order they came in.
Yeah, so some of those lap 25 pit stops, Jarrett, if they chose to come down for this one as well, I'm counting 1 remaining set of tires for those drivers to come down, and you'd hope to save it towards the end of the race. So you're asking those tires to go the distance now. You're probably talking, I mean, if you get a green-white checkered, you could be talking 60 laps. Maybe you change them out for the green-white checkered, but something to think about as these drivers work out their strategy. Pace car coming around to head to pit lane itself, and it is going to be UNC Charlotte, followed by Grand Canyon University.
So here we go, green flag about to be back in the air again. Our 4th caution of the night has concluded. And lap 65 out of 120 here tonight. Under the lights at Charlotte is underway. Derek Jennings down the inside. He'll try and make Ryan Lusich down the inside of Derek Jennings. He'll try and make the move, and it looks like he might onto that back straightaway. And you got to stick your foot in it and hold it there. Brave driving here on this first couple of laps on these new tires. Guys, 2x2. It looks like the top 10 really single file. And further on back, Esteban Munoz trying to make a move. 5 of Nick Stockton.
Yeah, Nick Stockton trying to work around the outside. We were talking about the high line, but the tires are fresh, and so not sure how that will hang out as we have big destruction behind. Again, we see the University of Minnesota involved. I see Valparaiso. I see Rose Holman involved. Looks like coming down pit lane, that's going to be Robert Morris University, Tristan Yoder in the 09, and then Zach Lindler there in Clemson. But we'll have to see the replay, how we got here. Yeah, it looks like trying to come down to pit road. Really, the 09, I think, spooking everybody a little bit maybe. Having to come around, avoid, take evasive action. And again, Jarrett, we talked about 2 and 3 wide through the tri-oval. It's pretty hard. There's not a lot of room to move around. And certainly, yeah, right there, you can see Zach Lindler trying to come up, Rose Holman trying to come up. You can see that the 19 is actually forced to go low, but momentum still keeping him out. Really good up to this point, but yeah, just bouncing off the wall. John Dinkle for Rose Holman, and really no fault of his own, Jarrett. I think that was pretty tough with that car on the apron. Coming back around. Don't know if Tristan Yoder trying to get to pit road or trying to come back, perhaps give back a black flag after the yellow flag. But yeah, not what that group wanted to see, especially some of those drivers that we were talking about. John Dinkle, we had talked about running a smooth race and keeping it up front, but pit stops and a little bit of strategy, and all it takes is a couple misplaced tires.
That's right, on board with Zach Lindler, who had a pretty good look at this wreck up in front. He can hear him off throttle back on, tries to shoot the gap, and just can't make it as the 119 gets into his front nose there to get that thing spun around on that turf. Tough break for a couple guys, Josh.
Is one of the hardest things to do is to try and time the parting of the Red Sea, especially obstacles are moving in and out in front of you. So we will be back under caution, see if we can re-rack these drivers. Trey Talbot, you see there in the 55, getting what I believe is the lucky dog at this point. And yeah, drivers are going to get one more opportunity to be squared up. Any drivers that had it remaining would probably use their fast repair, Jarrett, since we are far enough along in this one. Coming up on, we'll go green probably with 70 completed. And you can see a couple drivers. Athena Leclerc included. Did not see that, but St. Clair College's Athena Leclerc involved in that, getting that fast repair. And now she will have her work cut out for her, along with Lindler. And you also see, I believe, the 23 of Andrew Williams. 2 Clemson cars right there. And so, yeah, that's going to shake things up, Jarrett.
Yeah, and I tell you what, every time I bring up Athena LeClaire, something bad happens. So for her and for the sake of St. Clair College, I think I'm just not going to mention any of them for the remainder of this season. But yeah, a little bit of luck involved in avoiding those wrecks and a little bit of skill as well. And I think John Dinkle kind of wrong place, wrong time multiple times, and that's pretty tough.
Yeah, these drivers still going to be caught up, and yeah, seeing that some confirmation that John Dinkle's luck tonight, the Golden Horseshoe, not quite in that machine as he has been doing everything right and having such results. So you can see they're back on your scoring tower. We can run through. It is going to be Kaler, Jennings, Lusich, Campbell, Hagen Johnson back up front, Thomas Toomey back up front. My pick, Matthew Nordberg, back up front. Colin Copel, I'll tell you what, Jarrett, that is a good looking race car, and I think it's helping him out because that Indiana machine and Colin Copel looking good. And then Jeremy Miller in the story with pace coming from 2 laps down, getting back up. And guys, he's got plenty of race left to make that top 10 happen and maybe then some. So you see Cody Fadenauer right behind Nick Stockner, Munoz as we go down the list. Carl Lemkool in the 095. Coming back from an early race incident, there's Carl Lemkool currently in 14th, and Andrew McCall from Purdue going to round out your top 15. Brad Daniels, Ethan Head, Alexander Gagnon in P18, Ricky Paz from Valparaiso University, P19, and then P20, Andrew Williams in that 23 machine from Clemson University. So, Jarrett, we have a moment, and lights are out on the pace car. So, give us your 30-second opinion at this stage in the race. What are you looking for? And as a driver, what is your goal coming up to get to the end of this one and put yourself in a good position?
I think you said it. Put yourself in a good position. What is that going to take? And I think for me, if I'm a driver, it's survival right now. We've seen a quick yellow. Everyone's still on fairly fresh tires. So I think right now I'm driving pretty conservative. We've still got 50 laps to go. I think I'm going to maybe find a safe spot and just kind of ride, try and click some laps because you need to be there at the end. And you can't be there with a damaged car. So I think that's the way I would approach this right now. Obviously, very different driving styles between a lot of people. So I'm curious what you think as well, Josh.
Yeah, I think as we get set to go green, I think that it's probably due, at least my opinion, would be about 30 more laps of patience. And then I think you can see the front four that were so patient early. I think you would see a little bit more race car those drivers as we get inside at 20, 15, and 10 laps to go here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And with 10 to go, I think that everybody is racing. So, Jarrett, we are coming down to it once again. Bring us the green flag as we get set to go racing.
So a pair of green and white cars on the bottom lead us to that green flag.
Green flag, green flag.
Green flag back in the air, and we are racing again. Derek Jennings in second, Ryan Lusich in third. They'll sort it on out. Further on back, it remains 2x2, and Sean Campbell all over the back bumper, the number 12 machine, right behind him, Hagen Johnson. But don't look now, it's Matthew Nordberg as well.
Yeah, Matthew Nordberg making a strong push. He's up on that high side, just trying to find a spot to go. Hagen Johnson trying to get up to the high side, but no room there. So back in this corner, and wow, making that car work is the NC State machine, the Wolfpack, coming along the outside Virginia now. Thomas Toomey having to check all his mirrors as Hagen Johnson looks to get to the inside and trying to play the middle. Yeah, and just sweep back down to that yellow, and a little bit of contact there between Hagen Johnson and the 66 machine. But looks like Hagen being able to lift, everybody getting through there for so far. You can see Indiana also in that hornet's nest trying to get through. I'll tell you who is 14, Tyler Stone on the center of your screen right there, the St. Clair College machine. He's going to be, I think, your leading St. Clair College car right now. And that team putting on a strong performance tonight. You saw Athena Leclerc coming back right now. And then the 14 machine up there fighting this battle. But I'll tell you what, we see up front the Grand Canyon University and Derek Jennings not quite clear. He had to back out, and we are 3.5 wide as we go into one. And Matthew Nordberg, can he keep it on the yellow line, on the blue line? He will. as Derek Jennings has to save it. Excellent save there from Derek Jennings as they're still trying to hang it up. And down pit road, a few went. We will stay focused on the action here. Drivers coming through, and Athena Leclerc is around in the tri-oval, Jarrett. They held it together for a half a lap, but it was just about bedlam there for the entire turns 3 and 4, and it started when we went 3 wide on the backstretch.
Man, I thought we could do it. We saw guys working and working and working, and then push came to shove, and people just ran out of room. And mental note here, once again, another incident there in the tri-oval. So things to think about as you head through the tri-oval. Let's take another look at what just happened. Derek Jennings, you'll ride on board with him. As 12 gets shoved, the 30 gets shoved. It is a full mess of race cars, of which most of us survived, but then towards the tail end of the field, Athena Leclerc, one of those who did not. So let's take one more look at it. Up above, Charlotte Motor Speedway, as we'll go back to Athena Leclerc to see what happened. That 61 machine right in the middle of your screen. You got black and a red machine. You see the field at the bottom stacked on up. And then, yeah, just a little bit of trouble with the 23, excuse me, the 137 spinning on out. And it ends up being really a solo car spin for what we thought might have been worse. But you see it right there, how quick these cars are going, how hard it is to check on up. And the 61, unlucky again, Josh.
Yeah, and some of these drivers with live spotters, some without, and that really, helps in that situation where it's so hard to look through all those cars, through the mess, and see what's coming up. Have somebody tell you, hey, you got to back it down. We got big issues up ahead, and so that's going to be that is difficult, Jarrett. Probably one of the harder things we've seen tonight to come out on the right side of. But I go back to going 3 wide into that corner, and race control saying racing incident, which I think is accurate. Being able to walk through that and see that there was really nowhere to go. Everybody doing a great job of keeping it together, and then once you get to turn 4, turn 3. By the way, right, it's one thing. It's hard enough to save a car, mid corner or in the tri-oval, but as you go on and off banking and the track undulates and moves underneath you, it becomes much more difficult to try and keep that 3,000-pound stock car pointed the right direction and moving in the right direction, especially as the walls come at you like that. So that was pretty tough there for I think all the competitors, but we'll get it set up here. Again, it was a racing incident from the race control, and I'll tell you what, I do see the 14 up front and Matthew Norberg now P2. Jared Kaler coming out of that still P1, and so a little bit of a shuffle up at the front. I did see that the 30 machine and the 12 machine that we were used to seeing up front for most of the time, Jarrett, are now back a little bit of ways. I actually saw the 12 taking his fast repair, trying to get that car reset with tires and fuel up on pit road. So the maybe silver lining for University of North Texas is that they are going to have the ability to make it on fuel. No concerns there. So should they get a green, white checkered, no need for fuel. Can't speak to tires, but no need for fuel at that point. You can see lights off of the pace car. This will be a quick caution from race control. And so being able to come through, looks like it will be UNC Charlotte, the North Carolina State Wolfpack, St. Clair College, followed by on the outside, that's your favorite paint, the Indiana Hoosiers scheme, Jarrett's, and then Grand Canyon University and Clemson are going to be your first 3 rows, and the game will be how quickly can these drivers agree right now, get single file if they have interest, or keep it clean there to the end.
Definitely a long rest of the race. We continue to battle like that. Sean Campbell, Ryan Lusich, quick note, both took 4 tires on pit lane on that pit stop. So those guys might be able to trek up through the field, and I think they might be thinking we're overdue for one of those longer green flag runs. And Josh, you said it, they are good on fuel. So they might be playing a little bit of strategy here, the 30 and the 12. So stay tuned. If they manage to go green the rest of the way, I think they've got it made. So Ford Mustang pace car leading us to the green flag once again. And it's UNC Charlotte, NC State, St. Clair College, and Indiana University Your top four as we take the green flag again. Jared Kaler, the master of restarts, seemingly. He gets out to 2, maybe 3 car length gap heading into turns 1 and 2. Nordberg and Stone will go side by side, but Copel wants a piece of the pie as well.
Culpa choosing to go with the Wolfpack machine. He'll try and push, follow the draft of MSUC Clemson, making a move past St. Clair College. Grand Canyon University also trying to fit in. Looks like 5, working on 9, working on 66. That's the University of Virginia. And Robert Morris University, Brad Daniels in that 24, looking good in his position. As well as Cody Fadenauer trying to work up through the way. As you can see, absolutely massive rush of cars right there. The roar of the field moving past the start-finish line and back into turn 1. Still too wide, but everybody working out. And Jared, everybody choosing the high line for now up by that wall. They get into the corner and fan out. And I'll tell you what, Colin Copa making his way up to second place if he can complete this pass. He'll have a little bit of draft from the Kaler machine, but I think he's chosen that he's going to try and get as many spots as he can on this restart. If he can settle in and make this race to the end and get his tires there, then he'll be in a good spot. I do think that, back to your point, the 12 and the 30 who took tires, about all they can do in that situation, being pushed back. If this one goes green all the way, they'll be in a great spot. But yeah, you can see right there, St. Louis University, Purdue, as well as Clemson and Randolph in that shot. Randolph and University of North Texas right there. So probably 10 or 20 more laps before you really see the disparity in the 30 and 12, and the competitors around them would have about 40 lap old tires at that point. So you can see there that I tell you who is moving. The 30 car is moving, and if I'm Ryan Lusich, I am trying to keep up, both because I think that Sean Campbell can clear the way in some of these instances, but also wouldn't want to let that car get too far out ahead. You can see the 12 car deciding the top is going to be the place for him right now. Maybe if only by necessity. A lot of cars on track, Jarrett.
And past the lead, it's Hagen Johnson back into the top spot for Clemson. He sneaks around the outside of Jared Kaler in the travel. Hard to do. And a good pass by the number 7 machine. And you can see, here comes that draft. Jared Kaler all the way to the back bumper of that number 7 Clemson Camaro. He will stay in line back behind Thomas Toomey, Tyler Stone, and Colin Copa, all still mixing it up, and Matthew Norberg. And here comes Esteban Munoz. I feel like every time he treks to the front, we call his name. Caution comes out. We'll see if the number 9 can continue to make a couple passes here.
Yeah, and Hagen Johnson commanding out front and keeping about a car length or 2 between him and second place. I'll tell you what, Tyler Stone in that 14 car making it work. The 06 has been shuffled back a little bit, but at this point, really no stress there. You can see Thomas Toomey down on the bottom, nowhere to get in line up front, but he's trying to make that work down at the bottom, and he will. He's going to have a little push from his ACC partner. That's going to be the Wolfpack machine, Matt Nordberg, and my pick to do well this evening. Going to try and keep conserving those tires, track out to the top and very close to the wall up there. As you can see, these drivers, again, tracking out to the wall and then trying not to get on his trouble. The 9 car is around. He will save it so far. Esteban Munoz goes around the front of who I believe was the 15 car, but a very good save from Esteban Munoz as he tries to maintain his line there. And yeah, all these drivers now going to have to swarm around that FIU Ford Mustang, and a little bit of damage to show for, but we stay green here. And Jarrett, very good save there from FIU.
Now we've seen Esteban master with the car, and that was no surprise, but now he's got to recollect himself a little bit. He goes 3 wide with Sean Campbell. Find the state of the car. Is it okay? Is it driving a little differently? And figure it out fast as laps tick away. Lap 86 of 120 as we cross the stripe. But yeah, just getting back in your rhythm, sometimes so hard to do because you're having such a good run and something like that happens. Very easily getting frustrated, or it's very easy to get frustrated and kind of start throwing your race away. But I think Esteban going to be nice and collected, used to that real life racing experience. I think he's going to need it here in these next couple of laps, Josh.
Yeah, and I'll tell you who moved forward. The 30 car is flying right now, starting to see those tires. Ricky Paz, also from Valparaiso, you saw in your shot there. with a good move, trying to now work on the 15 car. By the way, I did get confirmation that the 9 and 15 were the two that came together in that instance. But yeah, the 19 of Ricky Paz, P8 right now. So Valparaiso Esports, a little bit of a tough start, but Jarrett, he's put himself in the right position as we get to the end of this one. As you can see, the 22 a little bit slow off that corner, but right now, Jared Kaler has made his way back around Hagen Johnson and Clemson University to retake the lead. That's big.
It is big, not only for that clean air, but I think the 58 really thrives being out on the top side, out in front, and not playing catch up. But I'll tell you who's playing catch up. Thomas Toomey, all over the back bumper of that number 7 machine. No room between the 66 and the 7 as they head back into 1 and 2. Toomey dives to the bottom. Johnson in that middle groove, drifting on up. It looks like the 7 a little bit tight as you see all the way up to the outside retaining wall down that back stretch here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. That gives the 66 just enough room on the inside. They'll go side by side. And you know who's loving this? It's Jared Kaler, your leader.
Jared Kaler is loving it, but you can see, and it looks like we're going to get a yellow. Crucial, the 66 was ahead. That's Jeremy Miller in the 169 car for the Purdue Boilermakers, who are looks like getting that car righted and turned around. But looking back on board here, I see St. Louis University, Purdue, Robert Morris, as well as the 22. And a little bit of net code. Would say that would be a net code issue there, as I think those cars, Jarrett, were both headed into the corner pretty politely. A little bit close, but pretty politely. And yeah, we'll be able to see here. Should see a little bit of daylight or perhaps moonlight between these cars. And then I'm not sure. Yeah, certainly. Especially that hit right there, that would not be not that much force was transferred between those two cars. So very unfortunate, actually, Jarrett, for both those cars and the leaders racing there, as we had a little bit of net code, and yeah, going down into turn 2 right there, that hit not quite what we would expect. But I'll tell you what, Jarrett, we have some takers on pit road. I think everybody else has decided that now is the time.
And you got to do it lap 91 out of 120 if we're talking about breaking the race into thirds. This is when to do it. Get that second set on now and have one set left for the final run. Maybe that green-white checker as well. That could be looming here in the CIL, but everyone on pit lane. Looks like everyone taking 4 tires and fuel. Sean Campbell, a good jump off of pit lane. He's going to gain a few spots as he'll sneak in front of the 66. Everyone else coming off of pit lane here as we speak. But yeah, 4 tires and fuel for everyone outside of Sean Campbell. We'll have to take a peek and see. It looks like Sean Campbell elected to take 2 tires, Josh. A 9.85 second stop for the Randolph Community College crew.
Yeah, really quick right there. And, so we said, will we see 2 tires? And maybe he's done it properly. He's knows that those left side tires are only, Jarrett, maybe 10 laps old or so. He pitted with the 12 car on that last caution. They're around lap 80. And so, yeah, he would have pretty good left side tires, and now he just took some fresh right sides, and he is going to be ready to go. And I'll tell you what, he is there in position. So we'll see if those left sides come into play. He'll be up against 4 fresh ones on the UNC Charlotte car, and you can see a couple cars there. I think who would be taking the wave around. iRacing will have to confirm. But in fact, no. As they cross the line, they are scored. Kenneth Talbot, Carl Lemkool in the 095, and Tristan Yoder in the 09. So we'll see if those cars choose to stay out or do something else here. Maybe pit a little bit later and take that fast repair. But we'll see, Jarrett. Maybe they're saving their final tires and fast repair for the final run, since we could have a little bit of green-white checkered. It feels like that type of evening.
It does indeed, and I talked about it a little earlier in the broadcast. That maybe value track position a little bit more, and I think this might be what they think. They know we're under 30 to go, and guys' patience is suddenly wearing thin, and they guys who want to get to the front are going to go to the front. So we'll have to wait and see how this one plays itself out. But your top 3 as they run: Kenneth Talbot, Carl Lemkool, Tristan Yoder. out in front of the likes of Jared Kaler, Thomas Toomey, and Hagan Johnson back there, 4th through 7th. So under the lights at Charlotte, under yellow for our 7th time here tonight in the InnoVetted Labs Premier Series here in the CIL. This is race 6 out of 7. So points ever crucial this finish. As you get a good look at Kenneth Talbot in that number 55 machine. We'll see if he's able to kind of hang on as you take a good look at your field as they run.
Yeah, and the 55 there of Trey Talbot started this race in 30th position. We talked about, and Jared, is a trend, University of Alabama at Huntsville, and these drivers starting to be a little bit safer in the back and then driving their way up at the right time through the right calls. I'll tell you what, once could be a fluke, but every race this season, I think these guys have the strategy and the pace to get the job done just about any venue that we go to. So going to be on old tires for this one, but let's not discount the ability of these Alabama at Huntsville drivers. By the way, Jared, if we get a couple laps down the road and maybe he only falls back to 3rd or 5th, anywhere within the top 10, and then takes tires, that's it. That's a good job well done for Alabama at Huntsville and Kenneth Talbot. But looks like we are going to go perhaps one more lap. You'd think they'd rack him up this time. Light's still on the pace car, but it has been pretty exciting. And Jared, I expected at one point to have long green flag runs with cars a little bit more spread out, but what we've been treated to is long green flag runs with cars side by side, generally racing, and whether it's the 4 at the front or about mid pack, racing up and down the scoring pylon.
Yeah, and you said it. We've had guys nose to tail, door to door. Really, it's a testament to the skill range here in CIL. We've had guys able to hang with each other, guys able to kind of hang out in that pack, and guys who know how to run in traffic. And I think sometimes we take that for granted, but we're getting a real treat to it here tonight. And if you, the viewers, are still watching at home, lap 94 out of 120, who is your pick to win? Let us know in the chat. We'll see if they make their way up to the front of the pack. Is it Kenneth Talbot? Is it Jared Kaler? Is it Sean Campbell? Is it someone else who we haven't mentioned here tonight who's creeping in that top 10 area and you think they're going to sneak through a big wreck here at the finish? Make sure to let us know what you guys are thinking at home as well. But lights out on the pace car. Talbot going to lead us down to the green flag with Carl Lemkuhl, and a little damage on that 095 going to slow the Lemkuhl machine down. And I know the 58 of Jared Kaler does not want to be slowed down, so we'll see how he is able to navigate. It could be kind of a moving chicane that the 095 turns into, but we'll see. Carl Lemkuhl, a good driver. I don't know what state his car is in. Looking at it from behind, it doesn't look that good. But we'll see how this one rolls. Green flag back in the air. The 095 actually does get a very good jump, so I might have spoken too soon. Carl Lemkuhl might be A-OK as he holds on to that second spot. Tristan Yoder down to the bottom, but Jared Kaler, a power move in the second spot, coming from the top to the bottom. He slides in front, and he will try and chase down Kenneth Talbot.
Yeah, that's going to be UNC Charlotte trying to chase down your current leader, Alabama at Huntsville. I'll tell you what, Jared, the 095 with the red idea, a lot of drag, aerodynamic drag on that car with the fenders and the body panels that you see there. I'll tell you who's trying to get by now is going to be Robert Morris. That's going to be Tristan Yoder in the 09, looking underneath that machine. As, Tyler Stone trying to see if it will fit. Not quite there, but looking at the top 5, they are ready to go. And, the new tires prevail right now for the 58. 66 going to follow through here, and now we will attack that blue and white line.
All the way down to the bottom they go. 25 laps to go. Caution is out. Looks like further on back, and it is my driver, Colin Kolpa, down on the inside. And we'll have to take a look at what happened to Kolpa and that Indiana machine. You see up in front the 09 checks up. He checks up into the 23 and gets spun on around. I think we've got a single car spin to put us under another yellow, Josh.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there. Once you get down on the apron, it's tough to save it. Andrew Williams in chat saying he tried to get to the brakes, but yeah, right here, the 09 checking up, everybody checking up, and just a classic accordion right there. I'll tell you what, the silver lining for Culpa in the 06 was that he missed by about 12 inches those water barrels at the front that would have used up the front nose on that car. Not sure if he's got a fast repair left or not. I think we've called his names for a couple of the yellows this evening, but very lucky there that his damage will be mostly to the rubber parts of that car. Yeah, and right here, great shot on board as you can see what it's like to ride through that, just missing those barrels back on
Woo!
track, and maybe a little bit flat spot on those tires, but he'll be able to get that car righted and rejoined. You do see a little bit of damage to the right front of that car, and yeah, looking like he's coming down for some repairs. I also spy the 12 at the University of North Texas. That's Ryan Lusich, Jarrett, on pit road, which stands out because if I've counted correctly, I thought he was out of tires, but maybe he's got one more left. I did think that he had used that fast repair, but with the 30 car, Sean Campbell, again, he would have moved up. It actually looks like maybe some damage right there, depending on what his race experience has been for the last couple laps. But thought he had moved up and would be taking tires currently right now.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. He's getting a little bit of damage repaired, trying to get that car as good as it'll get for this seemingly final run, or what could be final run. We saw a long green flag run, so we know guys are capable, excuse me, capable of it with 23 laps to go. I think the action might be just beginning here. And as you look at your scoring ticker across the top of your screen, we notice names like Matthew Nordberg have been shuffled back to 16th. Esteban Munoz back to 23rd. Colin Culpa 24th. Ryan Lusich 26th. So guys who've shown pace, who've been up at the front, kind of at the back of the pack. And I think those are going to be the guys to pay attention to because it goes back to Josh, that selective aggressiveness. Seeing that the hole is there, but you might not want to take said hole because it might close up very fast, and knowing when to give and when to take here in these final couple of laps.
Yeah, that's certainly accurate, and these drivers going to have to make those decisions coming up. But I think when we go with 20 laps to go or so, it's going to be a lot more intense. And I'll tell you what, Jarrett, I see a trend at the front, the eNASCAR familiar faces. That's going to be the 66, the 7, and Jared Kaler, no stranger, up as well. But teammate Santi Torres actually qualifying in the time trial for the Charlotte race. P1, the fastest of 449 drivers there for that event. So no slouch to the front himself, but these drivers with so many laps at Charlotte Motor Speedway, making it happen and making it count here tonight. But I'll tell you what, a lot of improvement in Hagen Johnson, that 7 machine. Been around these parts of CIL for a couple seasons now, and really putting his best foot forward as we come to the conclusion of season 4. So pace car coming around one more time. We'll see him get stacked up side by side this time, but good looking alternate paint scheme for the home race for the UNC Charlotte Miners on Jared Kaler's car, and that's going to be something there. Going to be exciting to see who can bring this home. Can it be the 58 machine whose town we're in, or will it be just down the road, University of Virginia? Thomas Toomey also hungry to get that win. Met us in CIL on the road side, but now no stranger to getting it done on the oval side, but still chasing the first Premier Series win. Thomas Toomey is, and looks like he's going to get to prove that out in one lap this time by.
I'll tell you who else I'm noticing, Josh, and you mentioned him earlier. Ricky Paz, the number 19 machine from Valparaiso University. He's had a good little run, quiet little run, and currently sitting in 8th positions. And where that puts him, right behind Sean Campbell. And if we've seen anything over the course of this race, behind the 30, not a bad spot to be. And I think he'll lead you kind of to that promised land will the number 30. So I think the number 19 is his game plan's got to be get to the 30s bumper, stay there no matter the cost. But we'll see how that one transpires. Josh, take us to the green flag.
Getting ready to come forward here and get to that green flag. Pace car going to make that left turn onto pit road. The UNC Charlotte machine, Jared Kaler going to be the control. Thomas Toomey's going to do his best to slide right inside. We've seen these drivers as we go green try and get to the line. He'll do so. So Thomas Toomey, Jared Kaler, right where they want to be. The 55 machine on old tires. Can he make that bottom side work? That'll remain to be seen. And then Sean Campbell, with a little bit of strategy, put himself back up there after his run-in with the 12 car earlier. Sean Campbell able to come in underneath Hagen Johnson. You see the 19 of Ricky Paz through there. 15 and 14, that's Tyler Stone on the outside of Derek Jennings going through. But up at the front, it is a little bit of a gaggle as we see these cars separated by not much at all. Clemson University on the outside of Virginia. UNC Charlotte down on the inside. And we do have another yellow flag as we have drivers through the inside trying to see. That is the 9 machine of Esteban Munoz and Panther Esports from Florida International University, who's trying to keep that car going the right way. And it looks like Jeremy Millerin from Purdue. And this is going to be Purdue and Clemson right here. You can see Colin Kulpa. And yeah, just not as much right there coming up on the outside. That is the 169 of Purdue. And these drivers, not sure if that was a place to be 3 wide there, Jarrett. I don't think they tried to, but yeah, you can see the 137, excuse me, coming up off. And yeah, really nowhere to go for Colin Copa with the 9 coming into his wheelhouse. So yeah, it's not the widest track that we go to. Riding on board with Millerin would be a good vantage point here. That will be a tough call for race control, as you can trying to get out. Yeah, you can see Esteban right there, just 3 wide. You would be across, and I don't know where fault would be. Perhaps a racing incident, or fault to maybe one of those 2 inside cars. But don't know if Esteban was ready for that hole to close up right there. But anyways, Jarrett, we are back under. We'll see if race control can manage a quickie caution on this one. As drivers, well, it looks like 55, at least one taker, is going to be headed down pit road. So you can see Kenneth Talbot right there, and then Tristan Yoder from Robert Morris University come down, gets race car.
One to go, no go.
So as they run currently, Jared Kaler still holding on to the lead. Hagen Johnson snuck up into second. Thomas Toomey in third. Ricky Paz moving up to fourth. He's moved up 16 positions from his starting spot. So currently sitting in that hard charger position. The award given to the driver who completes the most passes from starting position to finishing position over the course of the night. Valparaiso University looking to collect the hard charger of the night award is Sean Campbell back there in 5th. So we'll see how the top 5 shakes on up before this night is said and done under our 9th yellow of the night here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah, and a little bit long at 120 laps. The drivers get go now. 17 to go. Should probably see this with 15 to go. We would get the green flag. And so Hagen Johnson going to be on the outside of Thomas Toomey. And we'll see if Thomas Toomey can get a good restart alongside the 58 or behind the 58, just well enough to make sure that the 7 does not come down. We know he likes to be down on that blue portion of the track, and we'll see if he can make that happen. But it is, Jarrett, going to be officially time for the gloves to come off or go on, depending on the analogy you prefer here. But these drivers going to have to go and get up on that wheel and pull those belts tight, because we are here at Charlotte, and with 15 to go, these drivers are going to be racing for the win.
Yeah, I think you said it. It's no longer conservative driving time, drive to survive. It's drive to win at this point. So if you're Thomas Toomey, Ricky Paz, Sean Campbell, or company, uh, if there's a space, you got to take it at this point because that space is not going to be there long, and it's going to close up awfully fast. And I think what to look out for is once we get back around to that tri-oval, anyone checking up off of turn 4, you got to be ready for it. We've seen a multitude of our cautions here tonight be caused by that all night long, so don't be surprised if we see maybe one more. But I tell you what, guys who just came down pit lane, maybe trying to bank that it goes green, or maybe thinking about staying out should we get another late race yellow. So a lot of strategy still could play itself out, but 4 Chevys making up the top 4 will take the green flag. Jared Kaler's off. Hagen Johnson trying to slide on in. Just will do it in front of the 66 of Thomas Toomey. Ricky Paz to the top side, but Sean Campbell down at the low side right behind, giving a good push to the 66 machine. But don't count out Tyler Stone either as they head down the back straightaway. Josh?
Tyler Stone back in the 14, but the 30 car really wants to get on down the road, but he's going to have to wait for one of the 2 individuals in front of him to do the same. And so it looks like Ricky Paz is going to be in front right now. Tyler Stone around the outside. That's going to be St. Clair College's 14 machine trying to get the job done up high. Robert Morris University also mixing into this one in the late stages right in front of Grand Canyon University. You can see a little bit late to the bottom. Definitely tactical from Jared Kaler. The 58 he made, Hagen Johnson, have to check up a little bit. You can see Valparaiso just narrowing up that car a little bit, getting in, making sure that wall is still there coming off of turn 2. But Jarrett, that's what we see is these drivers are going to extract the maximum pace from these cars as they get there. And Thomas Toomey, a little bit of contact. Everybody still keeps it straight, but Thomas Toomey, a little bit of contact with the 19. An incident, but that'll allow the 30 machine to carry his momentum. And can Tyler Stone do the same? It looks like Tristan Yoder, I think, slow on the apron there for Robert Morris. As you can see right now, the leader under fire from Hagen Johnson, Clemson University, in that 7 car. But he has to be careful, Jarrett, because if he gives the door too wide open, he's going to have cars behind him who want to do the same.
And tell you what, we're seeing a good look of is the high line, the low line, the one to go. The 7 trying to ride that middle and high line. Jared Kaler defending the low side. I think where this will be, when do your friends come? When can your friends get there? Will Sean Campbell stay on the low side with Jared Kaler? We'll go to the top side, maybe try and push the 7 on by, and Jared Kaler switches it on up. Number 7 trying everything he can. Hagen Johnson all over the rear bumper of the 58, and we have a race here at Charlotte.
A race indeed. Looking back, you can see the crew that wants to get ahead of Kaler, the name on your screen, and Clemson University, big tiger paw, a little bit of run down into 3, and Jared Kaler, going to defend that high line and just do a little bit of a fade down into the corner, and a little bit of a push. Good car control from both drivers, but Jared Kaler having to keep that steering wheel turned left and right, anything to keep that car pointed around the corner. But I'll tell you what, right now, Sean Campbell has arrived. Valparaiso and Virginia also. I'll tell you what, I see Tyler Stone and Robert Morris University back there, and so these drivers all having to balance their time in between each other. It looks like just up a little bit into the wall, the 7 machine, and Jarrett looks like the 30 has a window of opportunity. Door closes, and going to have to back out of it a little bit. 7 car, close the door, then back up. That's what these drivers are going to do. They're going to keep the driver behind them at bay, make just intentional pokes out of line, and try and put little soft blocks on the driver behind them while they try and set up. And the best thing they can do with all these drivers is time it as they go in and try and focus on the car ahead. That's what these drivers are all going to have to do. You can see as Robert Morris up a little bit high, maybe into that wall, and Grand Canyon University making that pass, but it is at the front. UNC Charlotte and Jared Kaler still made it this far. 8 to go this time by, Jared. It's still a long time to block.
It is indeed, and here comes Derek Jennings. A lot of speed into the corner. He goes to the back bumper of the 66 machine. A lot of speed for the 15 Grand Canyon University machine. He's going to push Thomas Toomey up past Tyler Stone, up past Ricky Paz as they go door to door. You can see no room for a mistake here in these closing laps. 8 to go, 7 to go as they cross the stripe.
Yeah, and I see who's got maybe a little bit fresher tires or a maximum pace in that car, 55, but just nowhere to go. Can he get up to the front in time enough? 7 to go, as Jarrett, you mentioned this time by. That is Clemson University trying to defend from Randolph College while getting around UNC Charlotte. But I'll tell you what, the 30 car is making a move right now, and UNC Charlotte loves this. Lap car coming up. We'll see if it is a factor. Jared Kaler looking like he's going to go high trouble in the back. That is the Wolfpack around. Minnesota involved. Cody Fadenhauer involved. Big issues for the 76 machine as these cars try and get set up again, but big trouble through the tri-oval. And Jarrett, this may bring us to a green-white checkered, but I'm not sure how we got there. But absolutely the closest racing that we have seen all night long. And we felt it when our spidey senses were tingling that something like that could happen, as you see back through the tri-ovals we catch up with it. And yeah, looks like Cody Fadenauer trying to get on the brakes as well. In that instance, you can see Tyler Stone on the outside of the 76, who is the car to watch. Brad Daniels for Robert Morris. Right there, the 55. Sideways, had to check up, and from there, it was an accordion effect, Jarrett. Really, really hard to place the blame, but I think that we can see right there that drivers just having to get around the 55 car who was slowed up and sideways for a good portion of turn 4.
Yeah, so we'll take one more look at it here from high up above. And how many times have we seen this, Josh? The checkup just is too much for guys behind. And yeah, the 55 just kind of nowhere to go, almost fitting in where he shouldn't be. And yeah, that checkup in the 23 gets into the back end of the 76. And heck of a ride for Matthew Nordberg as he goes up into the air and into that infield grass. As we'll take one more look at it from on board of the 23 machine. If we can cue on up his onboard camera, that's Andrew Williams, and you'll see it's so tough to see the 76 check up. He actually got a little help from the outside, it looked like, as well. So a lot going on in that wreck that was seemingly pretty innocuous. But Josh, you said it. We're going to get set to rock and roll here with maybe 3 to go when we hit the green flag.
Yeah, it looks like this will be another quick caution. And so that pace car right now is coming with 4 to go. We'll have 1 to go under yellow, and then we will go with 3 to go. And so we will not reach into our bag of green-white checkers just yet. But I'll tell you who enjoys this, Jarrett, is that 58 machine. Wants the minimum number now of laps to keep behind him Sean Campbell, and would probably like to see that tiger paw in his rearview mirror now. But I'll tell you what, there is nobody in that top 5, Jarrett, that I want in my mirrors as we get to the closing stage of this race.
Yeah, no, you said it, especially with how deadly we've seen the checkup be. I think if I'm the 58, I just want to check out and see if I can do that for 3 laps. But you said it's so hard to block for an extended period of time, especially Sean Campbell. And Hagen Johnson, got to give him a shout out here. The Clemson University driver has had kind of a share of bad luck at times, but able to really make it work. And I tell you who else, Derek Jennings, seemingly saving those tires for so long and patiently waiting, and you see him just blast by almost like a rocket ship in that Grand Canyon University, that purple and black car on your screen. And we'll see if he can gain a couple more positions. Would love to talk to Derek after the race about his tire saving strategy, so we'll see if he can crack the top 3 and maybe give us a little bit of that secret sauce that he's got going on. But 58 going to lead us to the green flag when we hit the stripe. 3 laps to go. This is not, as Josh mentioned, one of our green-white checkers. That will be forthcoming should we receive a yellow before we receive the white flag here in 2 laps. Jared Kaler backing up the field as they slow down, And there he goes. He is off. Green flag in the air. And a great jump back behind of Hagen Johnson. He will slide into that second spot for the time being. Josh?
Hagen Johnson trying to get to the bottom. He's done it. Can he keep that position? But we know that Sean Campbell specializes in being on the outside, and he's got that move done. Jared, I got to say, not much there. So coming in, Grand Canyon University is going to try and take his turn around the 7, but with 3 to go, we're going to come to the green flag, 2 to go, and it looks like it is going to be Sean Campbell. Does he have anything for UNC at Charlotte? The race continues on behind for P3. That final podium spot going to be under fire as all those cars turn, and the 19 around. The 19 around, and this will be our green-white checkered. That was Thomas Toomey just trying to push, and you have to in the final stages push these cars through the tri-oval, around the corners, and do everything you can to get every spot. But around there, turn of Valparaiso Esports, the 19 machine, and yeah, I am certain that the 19, and actually the 19 moved right there just a little bit to the right, which is going to expose that left rear quarter panel and make that car stick right on the corner of the front of Thomas Toomey's machine. So a little bit tricky there, but nonetheless, the drivers right here. Yeah, so the move right there, just the 66 car of Virginia trying to line that push up. Couldn't do so. That's the result. Ricky Paz and Valparaiso will be understandably perturbed, but Jarrett, I don't think you can do anything differently in that situation as we come down to this one, and you will finally see our green-white checkered.
Look at it from up in the stands here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It looked like there was a little bit of action behind as well. Couldn't get a number on who that car was coming out as you see him in the travel. It looks like the 24 machine of Bradley E. Daniels gets turned around by, I think that's the 62 of Rose-Hulman University. That's John Dinkle as well. So two separate incidents. But once again, Josh, both happening in the tri-oval.
Yeah, and that is, and the tri-oval is a unique part of the track where these drivers are going to have to turn 3 straightaways or 3 short shoots really into a sweeping turn, and everybody is going to do it differently. So we are going to have 2 to go, and then we'll get these cars set up and ready to roll. But it is very hard to go through the tri-oval, and in these final races, you have to push your partner through there. And if Thomas Toomey or the 19 there in that instance wants to move forward, it's going to be a push, and it's not other spots. And race control confirming as they would that Thomas Toomey would have an EOL. So the University of Virginia most likely not contending for this one anymore, and he will say, I was doing what I had to, which would be the correct answer. But really, really tough set for those guys, as we can see that Kenneth Talbot, a little bit of support in chat, and has a good chance at this one, Jarrett. And so we will see what that team can put together and come away with. We know they started 2 cars, and you can see Kenneth Talbot there. Hotshot driver down in the University of Alabama, Huntsville there as well, bringing his skills to the virtual track this evening.
Yeah, he's been the beneficiary of this strategy play. So, and I tell you what, also Athena Leclerc has climbed back up to 7th. I said I wouldn't mention her, but a very strong rebound so far. We'll see if she can turn it into a good finish as well. So a lot of storylines going on here, and that's Jared Kaler, Sean Campbell, and company up at the front, but a lot of men and women trying to make their way through that mid pack and maybe in that top 10, maybe even a little bit further for some drivers out on track. I think we might witness a lot of points changing in these last 3 laps, Josh.
I think that is accurate. Moving on now, 3 are green-white checkered, commencing this time by. It'll be a green flag, and then the next flag will end it. Just one attempt here this evening. And so the University of Charlotte, North Carolina, at Charlotte. Going to try to get it done here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. But Jarrett, he has a tall order, and you can bet that Randolph College not only going to try to get in line, but is going to try and time this restart. And you can see right there, Jared Kaler already playing game, laying back off the pace car. That's a strategy that'll keep the other drivers guessing a little bit more. I'll tell you what, Grand Canyon University also going to be ready to pounce on any opportunity that presents itself. And I see Tyler Stone in the mix as well. 55, third row, low side. We are off and away. Jarrett, take us into turn one.
Green flag back in the air, and a reminder the next flag could end the race unless it is the white flag. So the 58 gets a good run. He's two, maybe three car lengths back. Sean Campbell electing that middle groove. He'll try and pin the 7 down. The 7 looks tight. Nothing he can do about it. Hagan Johnson dropping back to third, maybe even fourth as the 15 will go side by side. Sean Campbell's free. Can he chase down Jared Kaler? Will we get to the white flag as well? Jared Kaler off of turn 4. Heading to the InnoVetted Labs white flag. Josh?
The white flag you see there in the flagman's hand, 58, you know he's going to guard that high side. He is going to take his time getting down to that line. I don't know that the 30 can get there. Just left side tire, just right side tire, excuse me, on that 30 machine. 58 going to defend, break that draft just a little bit. 30, Randolph College closing the gap into turns 3 and 4. But as we come out of turn 4, it looks like UNC Charlotte will take home the win at their home track, the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the 49ers will be in victory lane this evening, and Jared Kaler is going to be the man to do it, and a hard-earned 124 laps set in there. Jarrett, the fireworks are going off, and Jared Kaler is going to be thrilled for the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. I think that he earned that one this evening.
Oh, earned it he did. I know week in and week out we always tease that it's almost easy for Jared, but man, did he have to work for it. He had to make that 58 machine really wide there on those last couple laps, especially those final few restarts. But Jared, a master at those restarts, and he will come away. You mentioned the hometown win. That one's got to feel good for Jared in front of his hometown support here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and he will bring it through the infield roval section before sending it into a nice little donut here and give the fans a show as he comes away your winner here tonight at Charlotte.
And Jared Kaler with every right to burn that car down, and wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of signature damage on the on those quarter panels. But absolutely phenomenal drive from that crew, from that team, with great calls all night long, and Jarrett using those tire sets at the right time and being able to do everything that he needed to keep that car in position all night long. He definitely led the most laps. And you would want to, in his position, had the pace, had the patience. But I'll tell you what, Jarrett, it was the finesse that stood out to me. He was always paying attention to the driver behind and would play into and defend just a little bit and just enough whatever their preference was, to be high, to be low, and where to make that happen. And so that is going to be key for those guys, and that's going to be a key for the win this evening, I believe.
So watching Jared Kaler burn it on down as he heads down pit lane towards victory lane here at Charlotte. And we're going to take a quick look at your finishing order as Jared will burn it down here at Charlotte. Results on your screen from qualifying. Let's get you the race results here. Jared Kaler from UNC Charlotte in first. Sean Campbell from Randolph in second. Derek Jennings third. Kenneth Talbot, we saw some cheers for him in the chat. He comes away fourth. A great run for the Alabama at Huntsville team. Hagan Johnson in sixth, and a pair of St. Clair College drivers, Tyler Stone and Theo Leclerc, in sixth and seventh. Eighth will be Andrew Williams from Clemson. Ninth, Jeff Pete from Minnesota Twin Cities, your first alumni of the night. And in 10th, Nick Stockner from Clemson. So a bunch of Clemson, a bunch of St. Clair College, but ultimately it's UNC Charlotte once again in victory lane. Josh?
Yeah, and victory lane again. Pretty well earned from that crew, and I think we have said, Jared, about all we can say They started off and they dominated the race and led from the front and brought it home in the same position. But they had a new paint and everything set up for tonight and brought it home. So absolute good job to them. And I'll tell you what, looking down the scoring pylon, Jarrett, a lot of work there. Sean Campbell, Derek Jennings, Talbot, Hagen, Johnson closing out the top five, and it is hard. It is hard to be ahead of those names. And Jared Kaler did just that tonight. All those drivers using strategy. I got to shout out Kenneth Talbot from Alabama at Huntsville, finishing the night P4. Was able to come back from 2 laps down at one point in the race and bring it back and finish P4, having started his race in 30th position. And by the way, he will be, for all you math experts, the winner of the most spots gained award, and that'll be coming to him as well. So. Alabama at Huntsville continues their streak of gaining the most spots in each oval race each weekend, and boy, Jarrett, I am thoroughly entertained at that one. It was fantastic.
Fantastic indeed. And joining us now is your hometown hero, the race winner here tonight of Jared Kaler in that number 58 Chevy Camaro. And Jared, we saw a couple restarts there that you had to make your car pretty wide there on the restarts with Sean Campbell and Hagen Johnson, the likes bearing down. Walk us through how you hit your marks in a situation like that and what your thought process is in these restarts.
Oh, I mean, if you want the honest answer, about 15 laps into the race, there was a little speck of rubber that came up right on my windshield. And every time I went into the turn, I was able to align that just perfectly with the bottom of the track, the white line. And I was like, all right, that thing's staying on there the rest of the race. Didn't take a tear off the rest of the race. And I mean, it was a pretty good visual cue. Anytime I went into the turn, I knew exactly where to put the car and exactly how far low or high I was in the turn. And it was just like it was a pretty good visual cue. It's kind of funny.
Well, that's awesome. Congrats. We saw your new paint. We saw you guys getting ready. We knew you guys were anticipating this one, and we were as well. So walk us through the whole race, and then towards the end, how did you choose tire sets? And would you change anything if you had to do it again? Just 3 tire sets for what turned out to be a 124 lap race.
Yeah, we actually had a set left in the pits after the race. I was kind of keeping that in there in case we put on like I think lap 60 or so, and the fuel window was about 53 laps, 54 laps, so it was pretty close to the end. But we got some cautions, and then we had the caution around lap 90, and I was like, all right, I'll toss on those tires, and then I'll save this last set for a late race green when checkered if we go green the whole way from there. But it didn't play out that way. We had a lot of cautions there towards the end, so that last set of tires wasn't really necessary to use for a late race yellow.
Yeah, well, I think you were definitely able to make it work. So, Jared, anyone you want to give a shout out to here before we send you to the InnoVetted Labs victory lane?
Want to thank you guys for putting it on, and InnoVetted Labs for sponsoring the league. And got one race left. We got the win at the home track. I'm ready for Phoenix.
We're looking forward to, especially after a race like this, 58 team, hopefully coming to Phoenix with a vengeance there in 2 weeks' time. Jared Kaler, congrats again on the win, and we will talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
That's Jared Kaler. Always excited, always fun to talk to here after the race. And I tell you what, it looked like he was competing here tonight, and I think it sounded like he was competing here tonight as well, Josh. So next into the booth is our second place finisher, Sean Campbell, in the number 30 machine. And Sean, your race was not without excitement as you had to trek from the back to the front once, and it was a dream to watch. How fun were those new tires to drive on?
They're fun. They were very interesting, especially the last stop when I took right sides only. I was really nervous on the restart about whether or not it was going to be too loose, but it seemed to work.
Yeah, walk us through that decision really quick. We actually wondered if anyone would do it, and you were the one person to do that two tire stop. So I guess take us through your mindset doing the two tires. Did you practice it at all in preparation for that, or what went into that?
I think that was a spur of the moment thing that would not have happened had I not had the gotten into the wreck earlier, like the almost wreck earlier, because I had to pit anyways. So I took my second to last set, and then the other caution was close enough to where everybody was going to pit. So I just thought I would take right sides, and it worked. There was a lot of grip, just barely, not too much. On the restarts, it was a little sketchy, but it had really good balance for the rest of it.
When you and looks like you and Ryan Lusich in the 12 came together at one point in the middle of the race. Um, I think you and he both pitted and tried to go longer on that set of tires. I mean, was that the best of all options? Was that your only option at that point?
I think so. It was just we both got really sideways, warmed the tires up, and since we both had another set, or at least I had another set. I don't know if he did. He probably did. Then I might as well take it, since at the next stop we'd be able to take the other set anyways with everybody else.
Yeah, well, it ended up working out for you here tonight, coming away second here tonight. Sean Campbell, anyone you want to give a shout out to before we send you on your way?
Michael, Eric, and Max, and RSR Esport.
All right, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sean Campbell, I'm sure we're going to talk to you again soon, but congrats again on that second place finish.
Thanks.
So, Sean Campbell, you know him from the roadside, one that tunes in on every week, but making a name for himself on the oval side as well. Josh?
Yeah, it's 100% correct. I mean, we're not too surprised to see the car control carry over and a lot of experience. I mean, you can even see Sean working on a lot of different facets of the game as he goes in and week out and gets set up with these cars and then gets set up for the tracks and adjusts his driving style. So really fun to watch and always a treat from up here in the booth, Jared.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So joining us now is our third place finisher. It's Derek Jennings from Grand Canyon University. And Derek, there were multiple times tonight that you look like you were straight out of a rocket ship. Walk us through what you did. We saw tire strategy pay off for you. And were you saving tires during a couple of those long runs?
From the NASCAR, basically, I realized that saving tires is a strategy right when the green flag drops. I was getting run over in the early run, but later on the tires were just so much better, and that's how I basically hunted down Sean and Kaler because his right front was at like 60 and mine was very close to 80 on like 40 lap old tires. I just had so much more pace.
We poked on a couple times this evening. The presence of some of the eNASCAR drivers, now veterans, in this event and running at the same track, and is that experience and is that background a factor? And it sounds like maybe a little bit, but how did it benefit you in this event?
Well, basically for the NASCAR event, I did 700 laps at Charlotte. So, in the last week, I've done so many laps that I just have mastered the track basically. And it was just avoiding wrecks and getting a long green flag run.
Well, right on. Congratulations on the strong run and great finish. And let us know who makes this possible for you.
All of GCU Esports, got to give a shout out to them. They make this happen.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, and looking forward to seeing you the next one, week 7 at Phoenix for the championship. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So that was Derek Jennings from Grand Canyon University. Their esports program, hopefully watching and cheering alongside as they take down that Clemson esports team led by Hagen Johnson. on your screen now. And Josh, we had a fun one, we had a rough one, and let's take one more look at your final race results brought to you by InnoVetted Labs on your screen now. Let's run through the entire finishing order. Led by Jared Kaler from UNC Charlotte, Sean Campbell in second from Randolph Community College, Derek Jennings from Grand Canyon in third. Kenneth Talbot from Alabama at Huntsville finishes fourth. Hagan Johnson from Clemson in fifth. The pair of St. Clair College drivers, Tyler Stone and Athena LeClaire, finished sixth and seventh, respectively. Andrew Williams will finish in eighth, representing Clemson. Jeff Pete from Minnesota Twin Cities, your first alumni finisher, in ninth. Nick Stockner from Clemson in 10th. Cody Vadenhauer from Thomas Nelson Community College finishing in 11th. Andrew McCall from Purdue in 12th. Tristan Yoder from Robert Morris University will come away 13th. And Ryan Lusich able to battle back for the University of North Texas. He finishes in 14th. Colin Kolpa, couple of late race incidents. He drops to 15th in that beautiful Indiana University machine. Ethan Head from the University of Tennessee in 16th. Carl Lemkool from St. Louis University comes away 17th. And Thomas Toomey all the way back in 18th for the University of Virginia. 19th here tonight is Matthew Warren from Valparaiso University. Zach Lindler rounds out your top 20 from Clemson. John Dinkle from Rose-Hulman University, finishing 21st. Ricky Paz from Valpo in 22nd. Your first car, one lap down. Bradley E. Daniels from Robert Morris, finishing 23rd. Matthew Nordberg from NC State, finishing 10 laps down in 24th. Esteban Munoz from FIU will come away 25th. Jeremy Millerin from Purdue in 26th. Alexander Gagnon from Robert Morris in 27th. And the rest of your field, Austin DeLong, Alexander Hogarth, Ryan Whitlock, and Grant Lemkool. Josh?
I think that that summary is a good sum up of the event. I think we have talked a lot about North Carolina at Charlotte bringing it home on their home track. I think we have talked a little bit about these drivers who are able to conserve their tires, read the track, read the other drivers around them. I think that that is going to be key for all these drivers. And going forward, as we go on to Phoenix, it's going to be pretty similar. It's going to be warmer. Tires are going to wear faster. And that's going to be the big storyline as we head into Phoenix for the championship in 2 weeks' time, but not before we conclude Jarrett the Roadside, coming up at Interlagos down in Brazil next Tuesday in 7 days. And so plenty of good racing on tap. Many of the same drivers that we saw here tonight. Jarrett, I don't know if I can handle any more wheel-to-wheel action.
I tell you what, we had battles, you said it, even during that long green flag run all night long, pretty much throughout the entire field. We had battles at the front, we had battles at the midfield, we had battles all the way at the back. And it never ended, and I hope these guys wore their heart rate monitors because those might have been skyrocketing all night long. But the cool heads prevailed of Jared Kaler, Sean Campbell, and Derek Jennings finishing your top three in that. Also, shout out to Hagan Johnson. Good race, kind of fell back to fifth. I think he deserves a little bit of love as well.
That is all correct. And so looking forward, Jared, I think we're excited. I'm excited for next week. We've got a lot to go on. I got to get our notes in order because we know that Phoenix Raceway is big, it's wide, and as exciting as this one was, I think we're going to have an equal amount when we go there.
Yeah, definitely agree. But like Josh said, if you want to watch the conclusion of the CIL Oval season, be sure to tune in 14 days. That's 2 weeks from right now. Same time, same place as we head to Phoenix with that open dog leg. The newly remodeled Phoenix, where turns one is not the turn one of old. So it should be a fun one there. But if you want more CIL racing action, you haven't had enough just yet, be sure to tune in 7 days' time for the conclusion of the CIL Roadside as we head down to Brazil for the race at Interlagos. That should be fun. A great track that Interlagos is. And we'll see if anyone can challenge Sean Campbell race. 2 25-minute races on the roadside, so always fun little heat racing action on tap on those nights. But for one last time, for myself and Josh up here in the booth, everyone stewarding and everyone that makes it go round. That's you watching at home, the drivers out on track. We'd like to thank you again for watching, tuning on in, and doing anything you do to support the CIL. So for one last time, for myself and Josh, thank you, and we will see you again soon.